Hi, Gary.
Hello.
So, did you know that NASA was planning to send people back to the moon in 2024?
Not specifically. I know that there's an interest in doing that. I didn't know if they had budget for it or not. We seem to be going more in private direction with spaceflight, so I didn't know if NASA was kind of standing in the shadows or what. So.
Well, you might be interested to know that as part of us going back to the moon, they want to put a permanent command capsule or station around the moon called the Lunar Gateway.
Okay.
And it's going to have a power and propulsion module, and that's actually already been contracted out to Maxar to be built as part of a fixed bid contract. It's supposed to launch in 2022. And the habitation module, and they're planning to actually do a contract for maybe between 2 and 4 companies to put together landing systems to go from that point to the surface.
Okay, excellent. That would be fun.
Yeah.
So.
But I do know the last time we were on the moon.
Let's see. I'm going to guess 70, 71, somewhere in there.
72.
72, yeah.
Very good. Yeah. And what do you feel about that? The fact that we haven't gone to the moon since 72.
Well, I think it's awful. I mean, I think like a third of our national budget goes to military, and less than 1% goes to NASA. And I'd like to see a little shift from one, of those to the other, so that we could, I think space exploration, all the things we've learned from space exploration, that would continue if we kept going. So yeah, that's a big, wish of mine that we would spend less money on the military and more on, space flight, getting more vehicles up, more exploration. There's a lot of talk about it, but I want to see it really happen. Yes. So.
What do you think is the big thing that's holding it back? Like, what needs to change?
Money. That's the biggest one. We have so many ideas about whether it's getting to Mars, going back to the moon, sending more unmanned vehicles to explore the inner and outer planets. We have a lot of ideas. We just need the funding so that we can get those programs going. And I wouldn't mind giving up a little, as I said, some other budgets in order to get more to NASA so we could do those kinds of things.
Yeah, it's funny whenever we talk about money, right? It could come from many different sources. Like to go and explore the universe is going to cost billions of dollars. And whenever you look at how much you spend extracting like oil out of the ground, you have companies and private enterprise spending billions of dollars to extract out that material, get it to market, and what have you. And some people think that maybe it would be possible to do something similar if only we could actually allow companies to own the rights to certain minerals.
That's an idea. I was a little taken aback by I read the statistic that we spend more money annually on video games than we do on a NASA budget.
Oh, really?
And so I'm like, oh, come on, we've got to get our priorities straight. So it's okay to fly a spaceship on a video game, but let's do the real thing. That'd be cool.
I know. It's funny as we've gotten like computer technology's improved. Instead of creating simulations of things to build, we've created simulations that sucked us in.
Exactly.
So like, find myself looking at Twitter all the time. I'm like, what a waste.
So, yeah, I'm a big fan of spending more on exploration. I followed a lot of the unmanned explorations out to the planets and stuff, and I would love to see a lot more of that. So,
how do we get people excited about it?
I don't know, for me and a lot of people like me, it's automatic. You need to work at it. It's exciting just by nature. But I don't know, maybe it's part of the education programs. You have to have more stuff in high school and college that focuses on the future of mankind. Are we going to try to populate other planets or things like that? Just have classes. I think they'd be popular classes just to get people educated on, this is stuff we could do if we put our minds to it. So that might help a lot.
Now, environmentalism is a big component of education today. The idea that we're hurting the world. And I've heard one person I've interviewed actually say that, we've spoiled the earth, we shouldn't go to the moon and spoil it too. Have you seen anything like this before or heard anything along those lines?
I was surprised. I was at a presentation by a professor at Rice University, and I didn't realize there's an entire department at NASA solely dedicated to making sure we do not contaminate, whether it's the moon or Mars or anything else. And so we're very careful about keeping places we go to like that pristine. We should do much the same thing for here on Earth. Just try to be more consideration of the ecology. We have overpopulation problems, just so many things that unfortunately, we're depleting the resources on Earth and things like that. Technology is helping, but we do need more of an involvement at the individual level and the corporate level to help our ecology on the Earth. If we don't fix those things, we're probably not going to spend a lot of time going to other places, because if your house burns down, you're not worried about going on vacation kind of stuff.
Or if you're afraid of your house burning down, you're not going on vacation.
Exactly.
Even if there's no risk of it burning down, it's just like...
So, yeah, that would help.
Even the thought of it burning down is enough to paralyze.
So, yeah, there's a trade-off between, people say, well, we need to work on controlling diseases and famine and all the other, plagues on humankind that we have right here on the planet. So why not do that instead of going into outer space? But if you think back of the technology, you mentioned, advances in computer technology and stuff that we benefited from the space program being initiated in this country. There's no telling what we will learn, by going farther. We may find some of those resources that you've talked about, or raw materials, or however you want to refer to it, whether it's on the moon or asteroids or other planets, or even just in space itself. You just don't know what benefits will come from that. So that's another good reason to take a shot at it. So.
Yeah, there's a joke in marketing that might apply here. Half of your marketing budget is wasted. You just don't know which half. The same thing's true, kind of exploration and development. But have you heard of a company called Blue Origin?
Yes.
And what do you know about them?
Not much at all, other than its name, and that it's involved in, space launches and stuff like that, or the space program kind of things. That's about all I know about it.
Do you know who the owner is?
No.
Jeff Bezos.
Oh, really? Okay.
And you know what their funding model is?
Like Amazon?
Well, close. He sells $1 billion of Amazon stock a year and puts it into Blue Origin.
Oh, well.
And his goal is to create the infrastructure that allows for everyday entrepreneurs to actually access space. Because it's like, whenever they created Amazon, credit card payments was already here, a ship thing was already here, the internet was here, and they just had to come and put those ideas together. But if, in your dorm room, a couple of kids could do that in college without any money, but they can't put a satellite in orbit or send a probe to the moon or something like that. So he wants to create the infrastructure that would allow for that next level of development. And his vision is that all heavy industry is moved off of Earth, and Earth gets rezoned as kind of like a park.
Wow, that's a big vision. I'm not sure I see that's feasible, but it never hurts to think big. So, what can I say?
But does it hurt to think small?
No. How so?
Thinking that that's impossible.
Oh, well, I wouldn't say that anything is impossible. Most things, if you put your mind to it, you can get them done. But still, I'll have to give him credit for big thinking. Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Jeff. I'm not surprised. He's got a lot of resources behind him and stuff. So, not a big surprise. But I may have to look into that and see what his ideas are. So, yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, and so I plan to do 1,816 more of these interviews.
Okay.
Any advice for me for future interviews, like questions that you ask or ways I should approach it?
I would like to see more questions relating to your organization there. The what you know, like what kind of things when we talk about settlements on other planets, are we really talking about moving a lot of people to other planets, or are we just going to talk about putting enough there that we can start a new planet for humanity, and you will have someday true Martians, for example, or true, you know, lunarites, or whatever the term is there.
Lunatics?
Yeah, lunatics, yeah.
Well, I think I have a better name.
Yeah, that might be a good idea. So no, I mean, just ask more questions about what people, you know, would they like to go. You know, if you could go on a ship to Mars and live there, would you like to do that? I know they had that the program set up. They're trying to find people who want to go on a one-way trip to Mars. You know, and
Mars One.
yeah,
That's called.
I would do that. You know, so just questions like that. Find out how, you know, people themselves would like to be involved in space exploration or the expansion of human civilization to other places. I think people would like to voice their opinion on stuff like that. So, yeah.
So you would take a one-way
Yeah,
trip to Mars.
Absolutely.
And what would motivate you? I mean, like, how would you explain that to your family? Or would they go with you?
Probably not go with me, but you know, it's like I'm one of those people that I've been excited about space since I was, you know, I mean, I watched Neil Armstrong, you know, step out on the moon there in '69, and so I'm like, okay, you know, I've always been that way. So yeah, a chance to do anything like what he's done. I've always wanted to do something like that. I mean, I realize it's kind of past my time now, or I'm past its time, but still, given a chance, yeah, I'd say yes. I just always felt that way. It'd be fun to just explore something new, do something new. I'm a little surprised when you said that you found weightlessness easier to adapt to than lower gravity. But hey, that's the whole process. Start learning about things, and maybe I'm good at floating in weightlessness and not so good at jumping around on Mars or the moon, but I'll try anything once. So.
Of course, you know, we really didn't get a chance to get acclimated. I mean, 30 seconds really isn't.
Sure.
I mean, after 10 minutes, maybe it felt like normal,
Yeah.
you know?
Unfortunately, you know, other than, you know, when you go over a bump with a car, and I have spent some time in jet aircraft that have done maneuvers that you are suddenly, you know, your stomach's floating up kind of here type of thing, and it's a little disconcerting at first, you know, so I understand it can be something new to learn, but again, like you said, most people adapt pretty quick to it, so I'm not worried about little things like that. But I think, you know, a lot of the stuff that you have to anticipate, you know, you gave some examples earlier about, you know, breathing, you know, weightless atmosphere kind of thing. It's hard to think of everything you're going to have to do, but still, it'd be worth, you know, giving it a try. So yeah, you could put me on the list.
Well, good deal. I hope to be there with you.
All right, good. I knew that. I'm not alone.
No.
So excellent. So,
Well, thank you so much, Gary. I really appreciate it.
I wish I was more prepared, but
Well, no, actually, all these are meant to be it's for the moment things.
spontaneous.
And
Okay, well,
my goal is to interview non-space people
Okay.
because try to get outside the bubble, if you will.
all right. Well, I'm a little bit in the space. I've worked in most of my career on the space shuttle.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so I'm kind of
Oh, okay.
not entirely away from it, but I've always had an interest in it since I was a kid.
And I can't remember, so we talked about, did you know about 2024? You said no. But do you think they're actually going to make it? Like, will I actually have people on the moon during one of these 1,817 remaining videos?
2024. I think that's a little rushed. It might be a little, you know, a few years longer than that. I think it'll definitely happen, but 2024 is pretty close, and we're already in 2020. So I would say probably not 2024, but not too long after that.
Okay.
So
Yeah, Jim Bridenstine, the NASA administrator, he likes to say, you know, there are technical risks, and, you know, we know how to retire those, but there's also political risks. You know, every administration trying to change the goal. Like, this is the third time since Apollo that we tried to go to the moon. We, you know, Bush Senior, Bush Junior, and now but yet we have this administration. So.
I'm not sure why, but I think Bush wanted to go to Mars. I don't think Obama mentioned it, but Trump has mentioned it. So it's obviously on the mind of all of our administrations to some extent. I hope it's not just political rhetoric and that there really is some interest in going back. But of course, it's the vice president that's kind of more in charge with those kind of things. I don't really know what Mike Pence is feeling about that. I mean, again, it could be just political rhetoric, but it might be that there's some, you got to put the money behind it. You got to put your money where your talk is. So,
I mean, I've seen Mike Pence at some of these Space Council meetings, and it's heavily scripted. So there's that. But the other thing is, he talks like he really knows and cares about space.
Good.
So I mean, I think he genuinely would like to see us on the moon in 2024. It's not just kind of like a nice to have for him.
Okay, well, good. I didn't know that, and I'm glad to hear it because I think we have the ability, we have the talent, we have the people who would like to go. All you got to do is put the funding behind it, and whether it's NASA or one of the private companies, we can get it done. So, yeah.
Well, good. Thank you so much, Gary.
Anytime.
Okay.